And to finish out our last day of coverage, I am joined once again by Xbox Europe's Graham Boyd. Graham?
Well, for 2 whole days, we've been scouring the floor of the Electronic Entertainment Expo for the best and the brightest games, and we've saved something very special indeed for the last day.
Today, we're kicking things off with a highly anticipated demo of the next-gen reboot of Thief.
And we'll follow up with a closer look at Need for Speed Rivals and the zombie parkour game Dying Light.
Plus, we'll check out buzzworthy titles like Disney Infinity and Mad Max, and we'll take a closer look at the way smart glass is changing the future of gaming.
Then we'll get an in-depth look at the upcoming games Dead Rising 3 and Dark Souls 2 right here on this stage.
Plus, we've got a live interview with one of the creators of Sam Fisher's latest adventure, Splinter Cell Blacklist.
And as always, our show is completely interactive.
Absolutely.
So vote for what you want to see using your controller.
And remember, you can always go back and watch Day 1 and Day 2 of the coverage at any time on Xbox Live. But right now, let's take a look at the biggest stories of E3 so far.
E3 is well underway, and we've got all the news you need to know. The show floor is crowded with thousands of gamers getting to check out the very best upcoming titles. Let's take a look at what we've learned so far. The Crew looks like a very impressive open-world racing game. The cars can move into off-road mode with ease. The ability to take the action anywhere on the map sets this game apart, and Ubisoft says it'll be coming out early next year. Meanwhile, we're eagerly awaiting The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The game is a sequel to one of the greatest RPGs ever made. With hundreds of hours of gameplay and the promise of true closure to Geralt's story, it's shaping up to be one of our most anticipated titles of the year. Also, we took an extensive look at Watch Dogs. This unique action game combines clever hacking mechanics with some very detailed city locations. Plus, the game's storyline is suddenly very topical. Thanks a lot, NSA. There were some surprises at the show. Walking Dead 400 Days is the newest entry in Telltale Games' story-heavy take on the comic series. The decisions you made in previous installments will have direct consequences. The best news is that you won't have to wait long. 400 Days will be out on Xbox 360 in July. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare is a third-person action game set in the world of PopCap's addictive strategy series. It's certainly an interesting direction for the franchise, and it has a built-in audience of millions. It's coming out on PC spring of next year. Mad Max is going to be an open-world third-person action game. The new trailer doesn't give away much info, but there's reason to be excited. The game is being developed by the makers of the Just Cause series. It's set to hit your Xbox One sometime next year.
Kill me.
The show floor is buzzing with gamers waiting through long lines for swag and the chance to get their hands on playable demos. Destiny is the upcoming game from Bungie, the legendary developers behind the original Halo trilogy. They're calling it a shared world shooter, meaning that it incorporates certain aspects of massively multiplayer online games. Expect to get your hands on it in 2014. Warner Brothers unveiled a brand spanking new trailer for Batman Arkham Origins. This is the first entry in the series that isn't developed by Rocksteady Studios. The biggest surprise is a brief cameo by the Joker.
Nice of you to drop in.
Bat fans can snag Arkham Origins this October. And even though it was unveiled on Monday, players are still buzzing about the demo of Titanfall. The new franchise from Respawn Entertainment looks to take action sci-fi to a whole new level. Stay tuned for all the late-breaking news right here on Xbox Live. All right, guys, well, here's some breaking news. Right now, we are getting our paws on the reboot of the classic stealth game, Thief.
Yes, here from Eidos Montreal, the company behind Deus Ex Human Revolution. It's Daniel Winfield Schmidt, everybody, the lead level designer for Thief.
Thank you, guys. Great to be here.
Daniel, pleasure to have you. It's been a long E3 for you, huh?
Yeah, it's coming to an end, unfortunately, but it's a lot of awesome games out here, and we're so excited to be here to share with you our vision of Thief.
And you've got to be excited to reboot a franchise. I mean, I remember installing this thing back in '98, you know, like
exactly.
Ages ago. What's it like to take a franchise like that and try to modernize it and bring it into today's gaming?
There's so many expectations. There's so many fans. There's still an active community out there. You know, we really want to live up to what made Thief really special back then and really bring it back. And really stay true to the franchise while still trying to make it, you know, playable by today's audience.
Sure.
And I want to let people know, like, if people didn't actually experience the franchise originally, what's the essence of it?
So the essence is, it kind of sticks out from all the other games. It's a very stealth action adventure, where the main focus is staying concealed. You're playing as a character called Garrett. And Garrett, he's a kind of an anti-hero. He's not kind of a standard superhero kind of guy. He's the kind of guy...
chiseled jawline and perfect blue eyes.
Maybe a little bit, I don't know. So what makes him special is that he's, you know, he's not trying to save the world. He's just trying to make the best of the situation. So what you're seeing here is the one of our demo here at E3. Is he's kind of infiltrating this Baron's manor, like the guy who's like ruling this city. And citizens are kind of getting tired of this guy, and they're setting the city on fire. And he's like, this is a great opportunity for me to just, you know, go in there and use the distraction to steal something very precious called the Heart of the Lion. You know, one of the things that's really big for this franchise is the, you know, the light and shadow gameplay, really bringing back, staying, you know, hidden from the guards. It's a game that you can play in very different styles. You can play it very aggressively within the stealth, you know, staying hidden, run from the shadows, or you can play completely ghost, never being seen, robbing everybody in the environment and just going out. Good job.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, you know, the light, shadow, sound playing a huge role as well. But for me, Thief was always about like the crazy arsenal, the interesting tools, different arrow types. What are you guys bringing for this version of the game?
You have a good memory, man. So sound is a very important part of it because, you know, surfaces have different properties. If you see opportunities, you're like carpets, you can run on them to, you know, less hurt by the guards. You know, light and shadow is still a big part of it, and you can use tools like the water arrow to, you know, extinguish lights to create your own path. You can use different kind of tools like the broadhead arrow or the blunt arrow to kind of like distract guards to, oh, I heard something over there. They're going to walk away from their path, and now you created a path for yourself.
Classic guard mistake.
Exactly.
Even futuristic guards make that mistake. Was that a cannon and they walk on
I'm going to go see what that was.
Exactly. Who was that? Was it a dog? Or so with this, you know, there's a lot of how do you interpret the scenario. So we designed these kind of scenarios, you know, the stories evolving, and you kind of get, you know, find yourself in the middle of all this. So how do you make the best of it? You know, how do you maximize the way you use your tools, you see the opportunities, you know, in this scenario?
I noticed like a bit of like a haze sort of around the screen. Is that letting you know that you're in cover, that you're in shadow?
Exactly. So we have some things that like want to give the feedback. How concealed are you? So in the bottom left of the screen, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's the light gem. The light gem from the original series still there. We have like a silhouette around the corner of the edges of the screen that kind of give you feedback that now you're most hidden. There's several layers you can be hidden, or you're most exposed. And this kind of gives you the feedback that you need to, like, how are the AI going to react to me? Am I exposed in the open? Some of the things that are new to the franchise, like the swoop you see here, it's a small dash you can just use to jump between shadows and get out of trouble if you get really, you know, caught in the corner. And, you know, use the environment to your advantage and find different things.
And let's talk about the AI a little bit, because you've got to sort of make them human enough that they're going to react to you in realistic ways.
Yeah. So the AI is a really important part for Thief, because you kind of have a lot of expectations of humans would react. You know, we want you to make sure that, you know, with the next gen and everything, you're going to have a lot more barks, a lot more sound, you know, sound feedback to the player, and a lot more fidelity in the environment you want the AI to be able to know and react to. So they will go search in closets for you. They will go relight the lights if they see it turn off. They will try to tell you your intentions. There's a lot of things that, you know, you would expect for the AI. Oh, we have a next-gen dog too.
You can't. It's not next-gen without an upgraded canine. We've learned that clearly.
Exactly.
In 2013. Now, when you sit down to design like a level, do you approach it with, okay, I want to lay down 3 different paths that the player can go through, or do you sit down and design an environment and say, now it's up to the player to figure it out?
Oh, the design philosophy. Now you're getting into good details here. So we wanted to, you know, he's not the one leading the narrative. He influences this because that's, you know, he's part of the story. But you're kind of setting up these scenarios, these political debates and things that are going on, and he kind of ends up in the middle. So we start by this scenario, and then we kind of drop you into it and see how it plays out. And then we adapt it, iterate on it to make sure it has a lot of interesting choices. So we don't like, this has to be 3. We're trying to make it much more organic and feel to how do we design it.
And you mentioned that sound would be important. Obviously, the example was, well, if you run on a carpeted surface, you know, your boots are going to be a little softer. But how else is sound going to play into this game?
So we have icons and so on if you don't have the ability to have sound with you. But sound is really important to hear guards if they're coming from behind. You know, while you're lockpicking, they can maybe be coming from the side. You hear the footsteps. You can like look aside and see what you can, and then you know, address accordingly the situation.
Sure. You mean turn, run, and scream. That's
Exactly,
about it. Yeah.
like a little girl, and you just
Of course, yeah.
take off,
Right
right?
under the desk, you're fine.
Exactly. So again, sound is a super important part. Was in the original series, and it still is today.
And let's talk a little bit about the city itself. It's sort of this steampunk vibe.
So it is a Victorian pre-industrial kind of setting. So we have this really European feel to it, but then they kind of got into this industrial age and started like hammering, pipes everywhere. So it has a very unique flavor. It is a unique universe, so it isn't a specific place in the world.